Is Pluribus too slow?
Or is it just slow enough?
Okay, so Pluribus season 1 has come to an end, and
Unfortunately.
and we thought we would discuss some thoughts on the season
As a whole. Yes.
And you had some thoughts about the slowness accusation. I think we both had some thoughts.
Yes.
The show has been accused, I would say pejoratively, as being slow, but you don't think that's pejorative?
I don't think, I think that saying something that is too slow, I think it can be viewed as a pejorative, but I think in this case, it's almost like a relief. Like, we're in an environment where people are actually making content for people who are doing two things for the second screeners,
Right.
and that's just kind of upsetting to me, that I feel that this program.
I don't understand it. Like, I've never been a second screener because I grew up in a time where there was only one screen.
Exactly.
And so you sit down to watch a movie or a TV show or whatever, or even listen to an album. For the first time, I'm focused on that.
And I feel that was my feeling about this show, is that it gave me an hour a week where it was focused on this particular individual or a series of characters. Obviously Carol's the central person, and the way that it demanded that kind of attention. There just is this opportunity to kind of sit back and watch and have that time and space to think.
To sit in a space.
Exactly. And
Experience it.
There is something about not being distracted, about watching something and just taking that time. And I feel like,
considering why the filmmaker has chosen this pace for perhaps more than just arbitrary reasons.
And that I don't necessarily have to be driven by plot.
Yeah.
That it's possible for something else to drive a viewing experience, that you can kind of just to relax into that. And that's something that overall, over the whole of the 9 episodes that we got, that it allowed me to do that. And that is part of, and I think we're going to talk about characters, but that's another part of it that I think maybe might be a connection to other Vince Gilligan work, is that there is this like space between. There's something wonderful about how much is actually in episodes, even though they seem kind of slow sometimes. But then you have this sense of needing that week in between to kind of think through things.
Yeah.
And when I watched Breaking Bad, when I watched Better Call Saul, that idea of having that space in between them, for me, was really useful for the kind of television that is a Vince Gilligan creation.
Right. So I've never heard slow not be pejoratively used in reference to film and television, which is why I prefer the term deliberate pacing.
Okay.
Where it is intentional. It's not by accident. It's not because it is boring. There is an intention here. And I feel specifically in Pluribus, we spent the exact amount of time for Carol's journey to have played out, where she goes from being a character who is the most disgusted and finds this transformation. Yes, it's revolting to her, to where we see her at the end, where she is in love.
Yes.
Under some circumstances, in love and hurt by this new entity. How we go from her being that opposed to her being that accepting.
You gotta give it some time.
That character that's not going to happen same with Manousis. His journey, from South America up to Albuquerque, that's not going to happen in a quick cut.
You wouldn't have wanted to have a 3-minute montage?
No, I quite enjoyed the episode on Plus that it took him to make it there. I learned things about him. I learned things about the world just spending time in that space.
You say that you learned from being in that space with Manousis. I think that that's where I would like to introduce just my. I mean, you can critique the things that you enjoy and love, and I think that that one of the things that I want more of from the series is well, I first want more Manusos. We did have this long narrative, and it was necessary to show Carol's development. But there are 12 other people
that we have yet to meet. Most of them.
Most of them we haven't met.
Yeah.
And
I was surprised that we didn't come back to Mr. Diabete and the chat group.
The chat group.
Going.
That we only got that little bit of Kusumayo.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I want more from the other characters. I want to see how other people are dealing with this situation. And so I hope that in the next season that will be
right.
It also for people who say, oh, well, you know, there's not enough hard science fiction stuff in the show. I mean, there's so much potential richness of character that I think that we just need to hope that that's what we'll get to.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So speaking of characters, something I really enjoyed in the storytelling, and with Carol's story, I felt like this season we got two stories about Carol. We got the story of Carol and her relationship with the Hive, specifically through Zosha. But through that relationship, particularly in the last couple episodes, I feel like we got the story, or at least the emotional beats of the story of her conversion therapy that she referenced early on in this season, that we never got any details for. We just got that she was once sent to this conversion therapy, and these people were reminded her at the conversion therapy. And I think we saw that specifically play out with Zosha. The feeling I got was she was sent to this conversion therapy camp or program, that she was disgusted and outraged by it, that an individual within that group seemed to be different than everybody else, seemed to accept her or reach out, and then betrayed her.
And ended up being the same
as everyone else.
And even that language that we're doing this because we love you.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, yes, and that was very re-triggering, obviously, for her. I think that's going to inform her character going into the second season. And that would be my, I don't want to call it a prediction for the second season because I don't have plot ideas of where this is going, but I do see perhaps a reversal of that theme where Carol is now the one who is trying
she definitely is
to convert. She is the one
decided that this is what she's going to be doing. Yeah.
Against the wishes, the expressed wishes of the Hive, which says they're happy. They've made this choice. They want to stay in the Hive. Will cause them great pain. And similarly, we see that with Manusis. We talked about Manusis's right to self-destruction.
As he went through the Darien.
Correct. And how that had been taken from him by the Hive intervening. And yet, that's exactly...
Yeah.
The Hive is self-destructive. The Hive is clearly on a path. 10 years, everybody's going to be dead. Do they not have a right? An irrational right to that destruction?
And I think that's where PLUR1BUS really shines, is these ethical quandaries that kind of come up throughout the show. Yeah. And, you know, like I think of how then you sort of can take some of these, like the conversion therapy element, you know, like obviously we can draw from that, and think of the different ways that people see that being disallowed, and then also, you know, thinking about medical assistance in dying, the idea that people should have the choice to be able to be destructive. Right. Yeah. And what does it mean to prevent people from making those kinds of choices? I like how the show doesn't push in particular directions. It resists that, and instead kind of wants us to have more and better conversations.
Because there's a contradiction in both Carol and Manusis of them being kind of extreme agency.
I have agency! Yes.
Believers, and yet I see them going into the second season wanting to deny that extreme agency to this different form of being.
So let's talk about the fact that there's a cliffhanger at the end. You know, we are presented with the helicopter flying over, and the atom bomb.
Right.
And
which I will throw out my thought that maybe we don't need to be so literal.
Yeah.
Maybe when she says it's an atom bomb, she doesn't mean a literal atom bomb, but a figurative
Her hat.
A bomb.
Her hat.
I just see there's a closed box. We don't know what's inside that box. She said what's inside that box, but that's exactly the kind of thing that a writer director who hasn't fully worked out where they're going with their story might do. The hatch. What's in the hatch? We'll figure it out next season.
Maybe there is a mystery box.
Maybe there's
a literal mystery box
to end the season.
And
that's true.
And I think that to take that, because obviously, this is made by someone and a group of people who are very aware of the fact that they're making television at a particular time.
Yeah.
And I think the reaction to the end of the season, it's the most popular Apple TV show of all time thus far. People love it. People want more of it. Stephen King.
And we're all time. I mean, Apple Plus has been around, what, 4 years?
Hey, it's a long time with streaming. It's a long time with streaming. So, but Stephen King is worried that he's going to die and not be able to see the end of this show.
I understand that.
Yes, exactly. And so, but I think that what it does is it reminds us of the fact that we as an audience, we still miss our seasons. And the way that there was a rhythm to the seasons.
Because this is the first show I watched in years where I actually watched week to week.
Yeah. I mean, and I think of this at the end of the year. I was listening to a New York Times podcast, and they were talking about The Pit and how what The Pit has done specifically is to put itself into that kind of rhythm where people are going to get another season.
And they know when it's coming.
They know when it's coming. They can get into that. They're never going to be waiting 2-3 years.
Which is what we had growing up. We had the thing that made going back to school okay was that there was new television.
We're dealing with the freezing cold weather in the winter.
Because you had new television during that time. It went away when the weather got nice, and then it came back, and it was something to kind of to push against the shortening of the days and the work schedule, and the slog of life.
So I hope the PLUR1BUS comes back sooner rather than later. I don't know whether that will happen.
Realities of television production, we're probably looking at 2 years.
Yeah. So it'll probably be 2 years before we start talking about PLUR1BUS again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless something happens.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks to everyone who came along this PLUR1BUS journey with us and were in there in the comments teaching us things, making us aware of all sorts of stuff and kind of driving our own conversations as well. So thank you.
And hopefully it continues. Because we're going to continue.
Exactly. There's more stuff that make us think.
To talk about.
Yes.
There's always stuff. There's a way we can watch something and not have ideas and thoughts.
Exactly.
So, all right. Thanks for watching.